Sorry. Good morning, students. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. I'm off mute. Um, my name is Dr. Mugerwa. I am one of the assistant principals here at BCC High School, and I am joined by Mr. Favasso, who will be speaking later as one of our counselors representing here for the counseling department. I want to thank you all once again for joining us today. And we're going to have some time at the end to be able to answer any questions that you may have. So welcome to the 11th grade Expectations of Excellence. Today is, of course, Friday, September 3rd, 2021. This is our first week of school, so it's good to see you all. Some of you I've only seen by email, and I haven't seen you in person yet, but it's good to see you all, and so glad to be with you all for your third year in a row as your class administrator. But we're going to go ahead and get started right now so that we're able to keep time for today's presentation. So just quickly go over the agenda. As you know, I've already welcomed myself and introduced you to myself and also Mr. Favasso. We're going to talk about who's who at BCC. We're also going to be discussing excellence at school, how to be excellent. As you know, you guys are now upperclassmen at this time, and you are able to then realize that the time is near before you get ready to graduate in 2023. We're going to look at our SGA officers and some information that's pertaining to who they are and how you're going to be able to contact those individuals. We're also going to be discussing academics and supports as well. So what I'd like for us to do at this time is let's take a look at who our administrators are in this building at BCC. So we actually have Dr. Shelton Mooney, who is our principal on the top left-hand corner. Mrs. Teicher is our school business administrator. We also have Ms. Rizkala, Ms. Adamson, myself, Dr. Mugerwa, Ms. Sutton, and also Mr. Nelson. This is the administrative team here at BCC. So once again, if you see any of us in the hallway, just make sure you say hello. We will say hello to you back. Email any of us if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we will be able to assist you with whatever it is that you need. As you can take a look in the center here, we have our CARE acronym here, which is connection, access, rigor, and engagement. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the presentation. So one thing I want to make sure that we're clear, there might have been some confusion about the assignments of who is your administrator. So we had a change in that. And so we have activities administrator, and then we also have administrators assigned by alphabet. And so I'm going to spend a few moments talking about that allocation of who you are assigned to. First of all, the question is, what is an activities administrator? Well, this is just the administrator that supports your grade level with class-wide events like SGA, graduation, next year with graduation, orientation, etc. So Ms. Rizkala, she is the 9th grade class activities administrator. She's new to BCC this year, joining us from Gaithersburg Middle School. Ms. Adamson is the class of 2024, the 10th grade activities administrator. You also have myself, Dr. Mugerwa, I'm class of 2023 activities administrator. Ms. Sutton is the class of 2022, those are the seniors. And then Mr. Nelson will be supporting all classes as needed. We also have the student support administrator. So this is the part that I want to kind of break down because this is new to us this year at BCC. This specific administrator, which can be different than your grade level admin, supports you with academic and behavioral situations. They'll support students in all grades, 9 through 12, based upon your last name. So the breakdown is as follows. Ms. Rizkala has last names A through C. So if your last name is A through C, Ms. Rizkala is your student support admin. Ms. Adamson has D through HI. Myself, I have HJ through MC. Ms. Sutton has MD through SB, and then Mr. Nelson has SC through Z, end of the alphabet. So if you're an 11th grade student, I have you for both. I have you as student support and also as activities, of course. So that's HJ through MC. Now, I just want to point out that if you email Ms. Adamson, Ms. Rizkala, myself, or Ms. Sutton, and Mr. Nelson, we're all, at the end of the day, we're all here to support you. So it's not like we're not going to respond to you. We're not going to answer your email, but it is just for organizational purposes. So we would definitely make sure that you reach out to your appropriate grade level administrator here at BCC High School. So quickly want to go over this quote from General Colin Powell, which reads as follows: if you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude. So with our acronym, connections, access, rigor, and engagement. we want to make sure that you build connections. You should be building connections with each other, with your classroom teachers, with your teammates, with your club sponsors, with anyone in this building. We want to make sure that you are connected. We also want to make sure that you have access to these items. We want to make sure that you are well informed of what we have to offer here at BCC: academic support, emotional support. We have several different clubs that you can be a part of. We also want to make sure that you are challenged in the classroom as well. So that is the R, the rigor. Here at BCC, we are a high school that we definitely want to make sure that we are well known for pushing students to higher heights. And we also want to make sure that people know that this is a place where they can expect academic rigor and excellence. Make sure that you're also engaged as well. Some of you may be here at BCC for the first time, which is welcome to you all for joining us if this is your first year at BCC as an 11th grade student. Make sure that you get yourself engaged with someone. You can reach out to me, myself, reach out to any counselor, anyone here, any adult in the building will be able to assist you with whatever it is that you need. But we want to make sure that you are engaged. Involve yourself in different activities. Involve yourself in a club or in a sport, and make sure you make those connections, because that'll be helpful to you all as you all are growing in your young lives. Aiming for excellence. So what I want to do is I want to talk about aiming for excellence. We have Presidential Scholar, we have community awards, book awards, Seal of Biliteracy, Posse Foundation Scholar, and also we also have the service certificate when you get to 260 SSL hours. So we wanted to push you to higher heights, as I mentioned before. And we also want to make sure that you all know that there's a plethora of opportunities for you to succeed at this school as you aim for excellence. There are different ways that you're going to be able to get scholarships for different activities that you are going to involve yourself with throughout this school year. And so with that being said, we also do have several groups that are a part of our core here at BCC, which includes our link crew, which some of you are already link crew leaders as 11th grade students. And you remember being on the other side of the fence when you all came here 9th grade year and you were introduced to your link crew leader. We also have its academic team. We also have a Minority Scholars Program. Some of the activities that you can see on here, we encourage you all to be a part of, which is inclusive of being a part of the theater, Girls Who Code, in addition to checking out our website. Mr. Crozell he's in his second year as our athletic director. We encourage all of you to please check out the website, baronathletics.net. On that website, you're able to locate our teams. You're able to look at the rosters, who's a part of the team, our coaches, and more importantly, the schedule. And why am I talking about the schedule? Because you can then support your classmates and your colleagues who are in the school here with you. And it's important to know that we do have a football game this evening against Poolsville. So we encourage each and every one of you to please show up and show out in your BCC attire, as we're going to have our first football game with fans in about 2 years. So please come on out and support. I want to talk about, on this next slide, I want to discuss keeping up to date with the Tatler. So those of you who are joining by your Chromebook, please take the time to then scan the QR code that is on the screen right now. And if you're not able to do so at this time, at the end of the webinar, I will then save this webinar and I will then upload it and send it out to the entire 11th grade class. You're able to then rewatch this webinar. You can also then fast forward to this specific portion and then scan the QR code at that specific time. So once again, use the QR code to follow them on Instagram at BCC Tatler, TATTLER. Our class officers, the mighty class of 2023, has great class officers who are willing to work with you and work for you. And we have them on the screen at this time. So shout out to our president, Aaron. Clara Meekins is our vice president. Ting Ting is a treasurer. Tommy is the secretary. Mia Seltman is publicity chair. Devin Brindle, special affairs coordinator. Carrie Jalali, community service chair. Sasha Grossberg, SGA liaison. Caitlin Mortman, class spirit committee chair, and then Lucille Kishner is also a class spirit committee chair. So shout out to all of you, class of 2023. I'll be looking forward to working with you, and we are going to have a great school year this year, I know. So once again, on behalf of the 2023 SGA, I want to make sure that you all know how you're going to be able to keep up to date with what's going on that involves the class of 2023. So as you can see here on the screen, make sure you give them a follow on Instagram. Their IG handle is BCCSGA23. So once again, BCCSGA23. And also, if you have a Twitter account, make sure you follow them on Twitter, which is also BCCSGA23 on Twitter. And then also Google Classroom Code to get information about what's going on with the junior class is WSH7HRF. So I'll leave that on the screen. You're more than welcome to take a screenshot of that. Once again, real simple, your Instagram handle is BCCSGA23. And we also do have the Twitter handle of the same name and also the Google Classroom code there. So make sure you take note of that. All right, moving on to the academic eligibility portion. So this is a very important piece because I want to make sure that each and every one of you are attentive to this portion. As you know, in years past, the county has had a minimum GPA that required for you to be able to be a participant in various activities, specifically with sports. So at this point in time, there is no academic eligibility for the fall sports. So before it had to be a 2.0. I want to make sure that I'm clear when I say this, and I've also confirmed with Mr. Crozel, our athletic director. You must have a 2.0 with no more than 1 E to be able to be a participant in winter sports. That is very, very, very key because for about a year and some change, we've had no academic eligibility due to the pandemic. However, if you are planning to participate in any winter sport, it could be a sport such as basketball or any other winter sports, you have to have a 2.0 GPA, a minimum 2.0 GPA, and no more than 1 E. That's key. So don't focus on the 2.0. Make sure that you do not fall behind and that you have multiple E's on your transcript because you will not be academically eligible. All right. So keep that in mind as you are working towards achieving higher heights academically this school year, specifically for the first quarter. So what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Mr. Favazzo, and he will be discussing the counselor breakdown.
Excellent. Thanks, Dr. Mugerwa. Hi, everyone. I'm Mr. Favazzo. I'm one of the new counselors here. Actually, I was here last year, but I feel like I'm a new counselor since this is the first time I've been in the building in person. But we just wanted you to understand how we break down the counselor assignments. It can be a little bit confusing. You just have to look at 11th grade and go by the alphabet. This is all by last name. So just as an example, if you have me as a counselor in 11th grade, you'll see Favazzo there, and I have all the students from ALB through Castro, and then L if it's a double name. So that's how we do it. If you have any questions, the system assigns every student a counselor based on this alphabet. So you can just ask anyone in the front office, or you come into the counseling office. If you don't know who your counselor is, just ask somebody. We'll get you the right spot. And then in terms of coming down to see us, so there's a few different ways to meet with your counselor. One is to send an email and say, hey, I'd like to talk about something. Can we set up a time? Great, we'll figure out a time to come see you. Understand that before school, at lunchtime, and after school are the primary times to come see your counselors. We're all available before school, at lunch, and after school. So outside of your class times, we try not to take students out of class if we don't have to. Obviously, if there's something pressing that you need to talk about, you can ask your teacher to come down to the counseling office and we'll meet with you. If one of us isn't available, we do have a counselor, kind of a backup counselor, in case maybe I'm meeting with another student and I can't meet with you right now, and you can't wait, then you'll meet with another counselor. So we do support each other in that respect. We help with a number of different things. Right now, as you know, we're doing scheduling left and right. It's nonstop. Thankfully, and thanks to all of you for being patient with us. and trying to move you around and get you in classes that are the best fit for you. You can't request teacher changes. You can't request period changes just because you want to be in a different period with friends. But if there's a class that you just don't want to be in anymore and you want to switch classes altogether, come talk to your counselor and we can try to work that out. Or if you're in, a higher level class and it's just too difficult and you want to drop down, those are the types of changes that we can make. Or vice versa, if one class is too easy and you want to challenge yourself, push yourself, then we can make that type of a change. We deal with academics, we deal with college planning, which isn't on this list. So I just had a conversation this morning with a student who's thinking about college as a junior. So we can have all those conversations. Obviously, social matters, emotional issues. If you're having a rough day, something's going on at home, you need to talk to somebody about it. We're not therapists, but we can definitely talk to you about this, talk things through. And then we try to connect you to resources that can give you maybe a little bit more, a deeper form of help and support. So come meet your counselors, especially as juniors. We're going to be writing your college letter of recommendation here a lot sooner than, it's going to come up on you pretty quickly. So we need to get to know you. And especially me, I'm new. I don't really know any of my students. I might know a few of you from a couple of Zooms last year, but I don't really know you. And I think it's really important that you establish that relationship with your counselors. So when it comes time to writing that letter of recommendation, it's a little bit easier for us. We really have a better feel for who you are, what makes you tick. And, we can write that much of a better recommendation to help you get into college. So our main focus is your academic performance, and oftentimes social and emotional issues and family issues can affect your academic performance. So we help with all of those other things kind of under the umbrella of supporting you academically so that you can be successful and move on into the next step. All right, next slide, Dr. Mugerwa. SSL hours, you guys have heard about this a million times probably now since 7th grade. I have had students not graduate high school because they did not finish their SSL hours. Believe it or not, it happens. It almost happens every year. I don't know if I had anyone last year. I think not, because they waived a lot of the requirements, but they're inevitably somebody doesn't get their SSL hours done and they cannot graduate without 75 SSL hours. There is no indication that they're going to be waiving this requirement in the future. I think pandemic stuff is in the past, and now unless obviously something changes, you guys are going to need to get your 75 hours. Obviously, if you do more than that and you're really out there working hard, you can earn that the special tassel at graduation if you get 260. Miss Henry, who is one of the counselors here in the counseling office, she is the SSL coordinator. There's a bin in the front of the office where you can drop your forms, or you can bring them to Miss Henry directly. Don't wait to do your SSL hours, please.
Thank you so much. That was so important to not wait to do your SSL hours, because as you pointed out, that is not a BCC rule. That is for anyone within the state, within this county, that you need to make sure that you get your SSL hours complete. So thank you, Mr. Favazzo, for chiming in and letting us know the importance of that. So what do you need to focus on? He talked about SSL hours already. We will be having standardized testing throughout the year. This is an important year for you all. We're going to have, of course, the MCAP testing, which is state testing. We also have the SATs and ACT, which we'll be offering in October. Focusing on your grade, this is a critical year because some of you have already discussed with me about potential colleges that you want to visit, and also setting up those visits as well. Some of you have older siblings. Some of you have siblings who are in the 12th grade, I should say, and you might be joining them on a college visit. And you're asking about, what those colleges may expect. So definitely set a time to speak with myself or with your counselor and reach out to anyone if you want to get information about that, but really focusing on your grades, because at this point in time, as an upperclassman, and you have plans for your post-secondary plans, it's important for you all to realize that your junior year is very, very, very critical in regards to you reaching to the goals that you want to achieve. Doing the right thing every day is important for you as well. We want to make sure that you are here on time and you are attentive in every single class, which is what we're going to be talking about in the next slide, and also getting yourself involved in various activities that we have here at BCC High School. So attendance is a key aspect, and I want to stress this because we know that there's times where there may be traffic. We know that there are times where a bus may arrive late, or sometimes the bus might not even show up at all. It's unfortunate that that happens, but it's okay. We're going to work through that. So we'll work with you in those regards. But more so, my point is really making sure that we all know that it's important for you all to socialize. That's an aspect of being a teenager. It's a part of life. We don't want to get the socialization a little bit too focusing on that too much, whereas if you're going to class late by about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes because you're kind of in the hallway talking. So make sure that you arrive at the class on time every single day. We actually have the same transition period as we had last year, and we have about 6 minutes in between each from bell to bell for you to get to class, which is plenty of time to get to class. So I want to make sure that you all are aware that teachers are expected to have a conference with you. We will also possibly set up an admin conference as well when you have 3 unexcused absences in class, and we're going to have to make a phone call home to your parent or your guardian. Please note that this year we are going right back to normal before COVID, where we are 5-day in-person instruction. So there is no longer any type of Zoom activity that you're going to be a part of, Zoom instructions and so forth. So you can't just not come to school and then try to log in on Zoom, because we are going back to normal as it was 2 years ago when you all were in the 9th grade. There's also a possibility of setting up an attendance intervention plan when a student does have 5 unexcused absences in class. It's very, very important that you understand that we really want you to be here and be in the present and be in the know to know what's going on within your classes, right? You do not want to fall behind. And as you can see here, the last bullet just notes that the unexcused tardies will be recorded, and you have 3 unexcused tardies. That's going to equal 1 unexcused absent. So that could impact your grades within this specific class and the possibility of you passing if you're not going to show up for that class, okay? So Ms. Sebelius is our attendance secretary. This is a picture of her office. This is the window. Some of you pass it almost every single day. So as you can see here, the first bullet reads, simply, if you just must miss class, make sure you have a note, make sure it is signed by a parent or a guardian. And Ms. Sebelius, as I mentioned before, she is our attendance secretary. This is the picture of her office. This is the window. You can just knock on the window. She'll be there all day, and you'll be able to give her the notes that you need. So one thing that's important to make sure that you have your name, your full name, your student ID, and then the reason and the day that you missed. And then she'll go ahead and rectify those records in the attendance log, and then you should be good to go. So make sure that you have, once again, your name, your student ID number, and also the reason why you missed, as well as the date as well. It's very, very important that you put the date, okay? So TAP is getting ready to start shortly. TAP, what does it stand for? It's time for academic progress. Those of you who were here 2 years ago know that we kicked off TAP around September or so, mid-September. And we're going to then bring that back again. Of course, this year it's going to be in person. It's not going to be on Zoom. What is TAP? All right, question is, what is TAP? Small group homework and study help by BCC teachers. Oftentimes people think that TAP is only for students who are struggling. That is not the case at all. You can be doing very, very well in your class, but you still just want to get that academic support or that academic assistance with whatever subject it is that you have. So do not think that you can only go to TAP if you have a C or a D or you're filling a course. It's going to take place after school. It's going to start late September, early October. I want to make sure that you guys all are aware of the opportunity that we have to be able to push you to, as I mentioned before, to higher heights and to exceed academically, all right? And then this last slide is a quote from Maya Angelou: do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, simply do better. As my information is on the screen, as you can see, Dr. Mugerwa, and my email is there on the screen as well. And make sure you follow the official BCC High School account on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. It is at official BCC High School. That is very, very important for you to be able to be in the know as to what's happening. And students, please check your Synergy email every single day. We should be in the habit now, as you guys are upperclassmen. It is very, very important that you check your email every day, because oftentimes the school will then communicate to you for various important messages that occur throughout the day. In addition, one thing I'll also note, and I forgot to put this in the presentation, as you know, this Wednesday was a surprise to all of us, as we had an early closing that was unexpected. And so my encouragement to you all is to sign up for the for the Alert MCPS. Essentially what it is text message alerts or email alerts that will go directly to you. And it's going to be able to help you know whenever there's an early closing, early dismissal, anything weather related or an emergency related issue, it'll go right to you. That way you don't have to rely on a friend who you may think might be joking with you or whatever the case may be. So it's important for you to sign up for that. You simply just Google Ask MCPS. Oh, excuse me, Alert MCPS, not Ask, Alert MCPS, and you'll be able to get those alerts and sign up for it by email or through text message. And there is for those of you who are on a device, there is a Q&A option on there, but I don't see any questions at this time. So I'm going to pause for just a few seconds before we end the webinar and just make sure that we do not have any questions that need to be answered at this time. So if you do have a question, make sure you put it in the Q&A. If there are no questions, then I will then notify us of when we're going to end the webinar. Are there any questions at this time? And I'll give wait time for that. All right, I do not see any questions in the Q&A. So just a reminder, we do have our pep rally later on today. If you were in 11th grade, which all of you are, we're going to have our pep rally during 7th period, which is at the end of the day. And we hope to see all of you back here this evening for our football game against Poolsville High School. So it is nice to have you all at this webinar. Once again, this will be recorded. This is being recorded and it will be published, and I will send out the link to the recording if you would like to catch up on anything that you might have missed. So thank you all for joining us. Mr. Favato, thank you for joining us as well. We hope you all have an amazing rest of the day, and make sure that you are all attentive to what's going on, and make sure you have your mask on every single day when you're in the building as well. Thank you so much, and take care.